This is all poison, and they knew it. A bombshell lawsuit has just been filed, basically naming every single big food company, and there's some pretty damning evidence in it. Before I get into the details, the first thing to understand is what we know today as big food was once legacy big tobacco. Because after people realized how bad cigarettes were for you and smoking dropped off a cliff, these guys had to figure out a different way to make money. In other words, a different substance to addict us, right? The Philip Morris Gulfstream isn't going to pay for itself. All right, let's dig into this lawsuit. Quote, Big Tobacco's conquest of the U.S. food environment was much more than a coincidental byproduct of diversification. Instead, as explained by Philip Morris's Director of Applied Research, the purpose of these acquisitions was for the big tobacco companies to, quote, control all of the pleasure drugs that are not regulated. So what did they do? They bought up all the big food companies and started turning foods into drugs. They started experimenting on people to see how our brains would react to certain ingredients or certain chemicals. It says here, for example, Dr. Frank Galata was a Philip Morris brain scientist who supervised a secret Philip Morris addiction laboratory in Germany. Galata's research included using electrodes on human scalps to understand the impact of nicotine consumption on the human brain. He became integrated into the company's food operations after the acquisition of General Foods and Kraft. I mean, these psychopaths literally embedded microchips into rats. They literally cut open their brains and embedded what they call brainwave computer systems. Oh, but that wasn't the end. They got to figure out who to sell this to. And they figured out it was going to be kids. The lawsuit alleges Big Tobacco repurposed marketing strategies designed to sell cigarettes to children and minorities and aggressively marketed ultra-processed foods to these groups. A Philip Morris executive boasted at a UFP industry conference, quote, we've decided to focus our marketing on kids where we know our strength is the greatest. And the worst part is they knowingly sacrificed the health of America's children in exchange for profit. It says here, in April 1999, the CEOs of America's largest ultra-processed food companies attended a secret meeting in Minneapolis to discuss the devastating public health consequences of ultra-processed foods and their conduct. At that meeting, a Kraft executive told the other CEOs in attendance that obesity was reaching epidemic proportions, especially among children, who are at higher risk of developing chronic diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, and cancer. And that's exactly what happened in the last 25 years. Obesity exploded. Rates of diabetes through the roof. Chronic disease skyrocketing. Instead of listening to the science, they literally paid to be the science. Dietitians were paid by big food to push junk foods and anti-diet advice. They also paid off universities to influence the outcome of academic research. And this last example is outrageous. Companies like Coke literally colluded, worked with the NAACP to call parents who were concerned with their child's high sugar intake and smeared them as racist. I mean, these companies, these executives, are basically committing treason against Americans by doing this. It's outrageous. And as I say, sunlight is the best disinfectant. So if you care about the health of children and the future of America, please share this message far and wide. Thank you.